Hi, welcome back to Lightworker Training. My name is Tatiana, and I'm so grateful to be joining with you today to get into this topic of recognizing the split mind. So in this chapter, part 3, mindset awareness, we've been getting into these topics and we're gonna keep on going. We talked about willingness and resistance and how resistance shows up in opposition to our will and some strategies to deal with what I broke down as 4 main ways that resistance shows up, or the 4 main causes. I forget what I called it. But suffice it to say, we've been talking about this, and I want to get into it a little bit more with this kind of vacillation that's happening. We're willing, we're not willing, we're loving, we're unloving, we're in trust, we're in fear and contraction, right? So looking at this as like kind of a pathway, and then there's this splitting or branching. We have this choice, and choice is great. I think it's fantastic to be exercising our will in these different experiments and seeing, okay, when I chose this, this is the result I got. When I chose this, this is the result I got. So it's very important to cultivate this observation, right? So we want to observe these experiments that we're running. We're here in the lab, we're here in the school, right? We're here having this human experience. So let's learn something, observing what is the mind state that I'm creating with. So I have talked about this before, and about how the mental level is the causal level, and we'll get into that more and more in this chapter. We'll just keep coming back to it. So if it all starts as an idea, and then it goes through this process of manifestation, what is the idea behind it? And is it something that's really going to help me? Is it aligned with love? Is it aligned with fear? Is it aligned with freedom? Is it aligned with oppression and control? So we can observe and see at any one of the points of the mental, emotional, or physical, what the root cause was, what the seed was, by the fruit that it bears, right? So a poisoned thought will produce a poisoned feeling, will produce a poisoned action. So poison seed, poison fruit, right? Healthy seed, healthy fruit. So it's important to understand that this splitting phenomenon that happens, where we're vacillating in our minds between what we know is good and true and correct for us and is, our highest expression, at least in that moment, and what is really not helpful. Why is there this pull toward this darker energy of fear and collapse and shame? It goes back to our social conditioning. So like I talked about in chapter 2 and the significance of unresolved trauma, it's in the part 2 Foundations of Healing playlist. I talked about how unresolved trauma is at the core of so many of the problems that we see manifested in our own lives and in the world. And so recognizing that, that's a thing that is at the core of this splitting that's happening in our minds, and that there's, layers and layers of brainwashing and social conditioning that can really help us to have compassion for ourselves as we're going through this process of healing the split. So sometimes this split will show up as like actual right brain or left brain imbalances too. So it's very important to have this unified mind and unified field. We want our mental, emotional, and physical aspects to all be connected and talking to each other. We don't want to just be up in our heads or just identified with the body, right? We don't want to be just in our intuitive mind state. We don't want to be just in our analytical mind state. We need both of those things, right? So, okay, so just suffice it to say, sometimes this splitting will start showing up as other kinds of fragmentation. So a lot of what our work is to reclaim these fragments of the self and to let go of the things that aren't us, or maybe we created it, but we're not interested in continuing to create it. So we just destroy and uncreate it, or, compost it, release it, however you want to think about it. So, okay, I feel like I want to get sidetracked back into talking about stuff I've talked about before. So I'm just going to stay on track here with recognizing when the splitting is happening. So when you're in the vibration of love, it will actually accept and include even the fearful parts of self, if it is indeed a part of self. Because love doesn't say, fuck you, what are you afraid of? I mean, sometimes maybe love does have to say that. Just to, change it up and bring in some humor or some tough love. Love is not bound by you have to be nice. That's not love. That's like emotional manipulation. If you think that, or something is emotionally manipulating you, if you think that you have to be nice, there's probably some old brainwashing and trauma in there that can get cleared. But so this mind of love is going to be the thing that unifies the parts of self and is able to sort things out and be very calm and clear and empowered. So that's a great mindset to be working with. The mind of fear is going to be in this place of separation. When you set yourself apart from God, apart from the truth, apart from your own love, then because the light and the love of creation is your light and love. It's your creation. You are creating it, right? It's through you and with you. It is you. So when you separate from your true nature, you separate from the love of the universe, the love of God, whatever you want to call it. That is a fearful place to be, to set yourself apart from the love of creation. It creates insanity because you can't really be separate. It creates confusion because now you're all on your own. You got to figure everything out, but you don't have the info because you shut down your channel to your higher self. Source energy, your spiritual GPS is offline. It creates anger, jealousy, rage, a need to control external people and events, things outside of the self. So self-control is a great thing. But when there's a need to control things, control everything outside of the self, that's coming from that feeling of confusion and chaos inside. Because if you feel confused and chaotic inside, then you will project that onto creation. You say, creation is chaos. I have to impose order to make it okay, to make it safe. If safety is the highest priority, probably in a fear state. I'm not saying don't protect yourself, but I'm also maybe saying good luck finding, enduring safety. Yes, we can have moments of feeling safe, but what is our true safety? Recognizing that we are immortal beings would be my answer to that. Because there's no safety in thinking that you're a body, or that you're some temporary identity or role that you took on, some temporary, package, vessel that you're wearing for this lifetime. No safety in that. So I'm just throwing these out as like, these are kind of some of the hallmarks, some of the flags, some of the signposts that tell you took that path of splitting off. You split off from your sane, holistic intelligence. You split off from your wisdom. You split off from the mind of creation, and you're out there doing your own thing. Now, why? We already talked about this. Because insane, control freak, parasite entities and systems, have been trying to get us on board with being split off from creator, from source energy, from God, from love. They feel split off. So they're trying to get us to feel split off. See what I'm saying here? Makes their parasitic jobs easier if we identify as the same kinds of beings, and we're not. All right. So I don't want to get too into that. There's like an element of psychic self-defense and spiritual awareness, I think, that weaves into all of this, especially when we're talking about the mind. I don't want to get too sidetracked for this video. Maybe I'll get into some more psychic self-defense things in a future video. So what you do need to understand, though, is when you go into the mind of fear, what is it going to start creating? This is another way of checking, see where you're at. All of it's just a checkpoint. Hey, you could choose again. It's just a reminder that you could choose again. So what is the mind of fear? It's going to start creating something, right? Every thought is creative. A thought coming through and getting activated by a fearful mind is going to create what? Painful feelings and body symptoms that resonate with that vibration of fear. So what is a really easy thing to tell? It's like when the body feels tense, contracted, the breath gets shallow, you've gone into kind of a sympathetic nervous system activation. So if that is so, and it almost always is when we go into fearful thoughts, it's real. And usually our spirit's kind of out of our body a little bit too. So it's really important to just ground it down. And one of the best ways to break that kind of fearful thought pattern is to, and I've talked about this before, is just a very calm, loving breath, the most loving and calm breath that you can muster in that moment. Just really slowing down. And you can even count your breath, regulate your breath, calm it down. So slow down, which is maybe the last thing you want to do when you're in that kind of fear-based mind state. Slow down, and that's going to help you actually speed up. Slow down to speed up. Anytime you feel yourself like in this energy of there's not enough time, there's not enough care, there's not enough this, there's not enough that, you're probably in a fear-based mindset. And one way you can snap out of it is choose to switch your body's nervous system state. And that is, it's kind of like you're kind of spun out here, and then you can go to the body to flip it. Same thing, like if you're in a really depressed body identification, going to something more mental, like a visual stimulation, can help snap you out of it. When you're more in like a mental agitation, going to the opposite, the body sensation, can help you snap out of it. So just a little hack there for you. But yes, calm, loving breath, slow down to speed up. Slow down, you're going to save yourself time, energy, money. I mean, our time, energy, attention is our spiritual currency. It is the real currency on that this entire world runs on, for real. So it's important to understand that regardless of what's going on, you can choose your mental state. You can choose what thoughts you're going to activate. And yeah, you might have to repeat it over and over and over again. Nope, I'm not going to go there. Nope, I'm not going to go there. Nope, I'm not. Nope, I'm not going to go there. Nope, I'm not going to go there. Yeah, there's a little something there. Not going to go there. I like that. So you could choose, and you might have to choose again and again and again, but you get to choose your mental state. You get to choose your vibratory state, And there is something to be said for, yeah, it takes a little time. It's like working out, you're not going to pick up the heaviest weight right off the bat. You got to build up that capacity, build up that trust, build up the capacity to run that much love through your system. I mean, it's kind of amazing how stepped down it gets through just, oh, I'll just have this little crumb, or, it's a lot of like this settling is a big part of our social conditioning. So it takes time, but you get to choose. That's really important to understand. You get to choose. By observing the results of your choices, you'll get more information, and then you can fine tune things. Oh, that worked. That didn't work. All a little bit different. We're all hardwired differently. We've all had different experiences. So I can share with you the things that worked fantastic for me, or the things that have worked for clients who feel called to work with me, but it might be different in your situation. By observing the results of your feelings and your actions, you'll be able to tell what mind state you're creating with is what you're experiencing, more love, more joy, more lightness, more creativity, more groundedness, more presence, more power, or not so much. If it's a not so much, then you can start to be curious about, why is that? Maybe you're acting on stuff that's not even yours. Like me until now. We don't do that anymore. All right, so I'm talking about things like loving, unloving, and I just want to be clear that love does not equal not having any boundaries or bypassing shit, okay? So it actually takes a significant amount of I don't know if you can hear that, but there's a giant truck engine braking out there on the road. So love is all about being able to say no. Love is protective. Love is not about letting people get away with a bunch of heinous bullshit. Love is not about going, oh no, I'm not going to look at that. I don't like that. That's not a loving thing going on over there. We got to be able to look at shit and go, wow, that's fucked up, or ooh, yeah, I'm not into what that person's doing to me. We need to look at some of the darker aspects of ourselves, humanity, the world, etc. Love isn't about just letting some psycho shit go down without doing anything about it. Okay. So yes, we get to, and part of this thing of being willing to do the work, the inner work, being willing to look at some of these dark places in our psyche and in the collective psyche. It's tough, but it takes a tremendous amount of love and a capacity to deal with a certain amount of intensity. So it's okay to not put yourself into a situation that you feel like you can't handle, because that's not loving either. It's not loving to say, well, I should be more loving, and so I should force myself to do this thing. That's not loving either. You know what it is. You know what it is. You know what it is. So the part of self that thinks they don't know what it is a part that maybe could use some of that love. So I just want to say once again that the splitting is a result of unresolved trauma and our brainwashing / social conditioning / trauma-based mind control shit that we're subjected to. It's all around, the more you start to be aware of it, the more you see it. And if you're not really seeing it right now, that's okay. Like I said, sometimes it takes a pretty decent amount of healing to be able to even handle looking at some of this shit. But you can heal all of it, well, the portion that's yours. And when you take responsibility for that, then that's going to start changing everything in your life. But it starts in the mind. That's why we're talking about this mental stuff. It's so important. It starts in the mind, and then it moves into these other denser layers of reality. Cool thing is, working at the level of the mind, you can shift things pretty quickly. Like I said, it takes repetition, but you can change your mind pretty fast. You can boop, 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 just turn it around pretty quickly. So that's cool. And you can reclaim all of these parts of yourself that kind of fragmented off, that part that just wasn't allowed to even be because it wasn't acceptable to the system or the family or the church or the school or whatever. You can reclaim those parts of self, reclaim your love, reclaim your creativity, reclaim your beautiful sacred imagination. Because really, all of this stuff is only limited by your imagination. And the imagination is part of what gets split off from the self through that process of social conditioning. So we can reclaim it and be unified within ourselves, with our individual consciousness and energy field. We can have unity consciousness right here. Unified consciousness. And do you think that if we embody that energy, it might just ripple out into the collective and be a benefit to others? I think so. Well, that's all I have today. Thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful. And if there's any of this that you find helpful, please feel free to share and, share it in your own words. I don't claim ownership of any of this. I really don't. So please feel free to share in a way that feels authentic for you. And I'll see you next time on Lightworker Training. Bye for now.